Hey, welcome to Sustainable Investing. In this video, we're going to look ahead at Hyliion's Q3 earnings for 2021 and what to expect. Hyliion's mission is to be the leader in electrified powertrains for the commercial trucking industry. They've been trading on the stock market for a little over 1 year now. If we have a look at the stock chart, we can see that the stock recently rebounded from an all-time low of $6.75 per share back on October 12th to about $8. However, the stock price is still down over 80% from its highs of over $50 per share back in September of 2020. In my opinion, there's a couple reasons that led to the stock's decline. The first was the electric vehicle sector had a huge run-up in the earlier part of the year and then eventually had a big pullback, and Hyliion was caught in the middle of that. The second is that there's huge short interest in the stock right now, between 20 to 25% of floating shares. That means right now there are a lot of short sellers that are betting on this company essentially going bankrupt and want the stock's price to fall. And this could be contributing negatively to the sentiment around the stock right now. I'm personally not sure why short sellers take such an interest in EV companies and also other clean technology companies, but it has been something I've noticed recently. It seems like for some reason, these short sellers don't want these companies to succeed that are trying to actually make the planet better. In my opinion, the biggest focus on Hyliion's Q3 earnings is going to be on whether or not they're able to recognize revenues for the first time in the company's history. And what progress have they made towards their two big product lines? They have the Hybrid EX, which is basically upgrading the powertrain of a diesel truck to be electrified, which makes the truck more fuel efficient and gives it new capabilities like regenerative braking. Their second product line is the Hypertruck ERX, which is their complete powertrain solution that runs on renewable natural gas and has the ability to be net carbon negative. Up until this point, Hyliion has never recognized revenues. But earlier this year, the CEO of the company, Thomas Healy, hinted that in the second half of this year, they could earn their first revenues from their Hybrid EX product line. Already there's been word that some of the Hybrid EX powertrains have gone into customers' hands. As for the Hypertruck ERX, it's taking a little longer to get it to demo deployments, which has just recently begun. But as for recognizing revenues from the Hypertruck, it's possible that it could be later in Q4. So what are analysts expecting for Q3? Well, the couple of analysts that are mentioned on Yahoo Finance are expecting that Hyliion won't be generating any revenues this quarter, and for the entire 2021 fiscal year will be generating about $800,000 US. What do I think? Well, we already know that one customer, Monet Transportation, has already received deliveries of 2 Hybrid EX units, and that another company, Detmar Logistics, already placed an order of 10 units and recently increased that to over 300. Now that may be a mixture of the Hybrid EX and the Hypertruck ERX. Now, as far as I know, we don't have an indication of what the selling price per unit is going to be for either product line. An earlier article from this year did, however, suggest a price of about $220,000 per unit, so for now we'll just go with that number. However, in reality, this number will probably vary between the two products. A couple of other unknowns is what Hyliion's initial production rate is going to be. Could they make 1 truck a week, 1 truck every few weeks? I don't really know. And the other part is the accounting process. How long of a time does it take from getting a unit delivered into customers' hands until that revenue is actually recognized? If they're able to deliver even just 5 units and recognize revenue for Q3, that would be revenue of a little over $1 million, which would be higher than what analysts are expecting for the entire year of 2021. So my final estimate for Q3 is that they'll deliver 5 units of their hybrid EX truck and recognize about $1 million in revenue for the quarter. This could be way off because we don't have any baseline to go off since the company's never generated revenue before. Tell me in the comments below how many units you think they'll deliver in Q3, and if they generate revenue, how much. Some other things to watch for in Hyliion's earnings report will be updates on their new battery module, their progress on expanding their headquarters in Austin, Texas, and when that's expected to be completed. And finally, their commercialization plans for 2022. What can we expect the install capacity to be? How many units could they potentially make per week? Do they have any targets for their production rate? And do they have any unit targets for the entire fiscal year of 2022? I suspect we'll hear more on this in the Q4 earnings. So in conclusion, I think Hyliion's done a really good job on remaining on track with their product roadmap that they unveiled a year ago and keeping on track with getting units into customers' hands at the end of this year and getting ready for commercialization and ramping production for 2022. For me, I'm really excited to see whether Hyliion is able to recognize their first revenues in their Q3 earnings report, because if that happens, we could see the stock take off, and especially if there is short interest of over 20%, we could see a huge short squeeze as well if the reaction to their earnings report is positive. Finally, I'm also hoping that their earnings report can shed a little light on what we can expect for production rates and deliveries for 2022. If you enjoyed this video and the analysis, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so that you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching.